I'm Dr. Lori. I'm going to uncover those overlooked bargains right here at StillGoode Home Consignments in Spring, Texas, north of Houston. Come thrift with me. Blue, white, you know I love blue, white. So first things first, the blue onion pattern, which is a Dutch pattern, very typical, but this particular piece is actually made in England. And I'll show you, they call it the Holland pattern. It's actually made in England because it's relating to, of course, blue onion. And blue onion is this pattern. Now, a couple things that you want to see. You really want this from, of course, the Dutch, but you'll see that it is very popular and a lot of people will actually mimic it. Here's Johnson Brothers, another English designer, manufacturer who's making the same thing. Look at these two. Which one would you choose? The one where the blue comes through or the one where the blue does not? This is considered flow blue. So you want the one where the blue comes through. This particular piece, what do they want for it? $35 for it. That's a bargain. It's worth $50. Simple. This one, they want $15 for it. And value on this one, probably a little, maybe $5 more. It's probably worth $20. But if you see this and the blue's coming through, you got to hold on to that one. I also thought this piece was gorgeous. I'm not big for the blue and the gold. That's just a personal taste, but as you know, I know value when I see it. This particular piece, all of this gorgeous gilt stenciling all the way around, and look at the large flowers. You even have a nice dragonfly there, but this piece is your typical serving piece. When you look at the back, bright white color, Royal Doulton. Doulton Burslem or Doulton Lambeth. This is Doulton Burslem. That's what you're looking for. This particular piece, they want $168 for it. And you're thinking, $168? It's Royal Doulton, very high quality, of course made in England. Value on this, $200. I just walked by Murano. That's what you're all thinking, right? The blue glass. I know what you're all thinking. You think I really walk by these things? First of all, it's not Murano. That's first. I'm going to show you why it's not that great. Why it's only $24. Not what they want $24. First of all, look at the whole piece. It's a nice shape. Not hurting anybody. Sure, it's decorative, but look at that bubble. That's a miss. Look at that bubble and that bubble and that bubble and that miss and that scratch and that miss and that abrasion and that blah, 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 blah. Blah. It's a mess. It's a mess when you really examine it. I would leave that there for $25. I put that $25 towards something better. This piece caught my eye because of the multiple strands and also because of course, the way in which the colorless glass sparkles. It's nice. They are glass, not crystal. I like the gold and I like, of course, the way these are coming. Basically, these elongated links. Pretty nice. Now, at $22, that's just about retail for that piece. It's worth about $22. It is gold-toned metal. It is not gold-plated. This piece is very nice, and it's trying very hard to look like the Madison by David Yurman, and it's a very nice piece of costume jewelry. I have to say that you can see, again, the way you have the ribbed and then the plain, the ribbed silver and then the plain gold, very typical of a very distinct David Yurman form. A design that he made famous. This is $26, and I will say that that's probably about 18 inches long. I would take that in a minute for $26. Value on that's closer to $76. All you guys can skip this part, but let me tell you what, you can never have enough pillows. My favorite type of pillow is the ones that are hooked. Thought I was going to walk by that Murano, didn't you? I know what you're thinking. This piece is indeed Murano. There, it is millefiori. It is very large. It is $148 is what they're asking for it. That's the price. And there are elements about it that are wonderful and elements about it that are not. So first of all, what is not wonderful? Look at these areas of the millefiori, right? This particular area, sharp lines. You want that to be curved, nice and round. You don't want it to be sharp lines, looks like a hexagon. You don't want that. That's the first problem with this piece. Second problem with this piece is how they actually sort of bleed into one another. Millefiori isn't supposed to bleed into one another. You're supposed to be able to see individual flowers. So that's the other thing that I think is a quality problem here. But at $148, it is still a bargain by about $2. It's worth $150. But it is indeed Murano. It's a massive Louis Vuitton. It's beautiful. And I talk about what to look for in other videos about Louis Vuitton, but that one, if you see it, I would grab that. That's beautiful. There are a lot of beautiful pieces here. There's a lot of good names here. There's Michael Kors, there's Kate Spade, and then there's Coach. And this one, if you didn't recognize this is vintage Coach. Now, it does need a little bit of work, but one of the things about vintage Coach, look at that magnet and listen. I mean, that's not going anywhere, but this does need to be cleaned up. So if you're going to clean it up, that I would take a look at. Same thing with this. This is vintage Coach. My mother used to always say about Coach, she used to say, I like Coach a lot, but you know what? You can't get a new bag because they don't wear out. She really liked Coach, but she always said that. But these are like the 1980s versions, late 70s, 80s versions, but needs a lot of leather, actual cleaner and a little bit of conditioner. So that's a little bit of elbow grease here. The other things you want to look for, more Coach. Here's a Kate Spade, and this is the era in the early 2000s where they started to do one of the things that I do not like. I like a bag that closes all the way, but they started to do this where the zipper, doesn't really close all the way. You still have this space, but I do like the panel colors. I like the blue. I've been looking for a blue purse. I've been having a hard time finding one I really like. But basically the panel colors, very good condition as well. What do they want for this? They want 160. 160 is good. I would say that this piece probably is worth another $40. It's probably worth 200 bucks in this condition. The white is very nice and bright. That's what you want to look for too. Cleanliness is next to bargainness, right? When you're looking at pieces like that. One of the things you want to look for too, if you're looking at other designer names, Dooney & Bourke, D&B. Dooney & Bourke oftentimes has this braid in the leather as the handles. So you'll see that braid. That's a pretty popular style for them. 160, I would say this one's worth about 200 as well. So 160 is a good deal, and the deals get better as time goes on. So as it sits on the shelf, a lot of you do this. You go back the next week and you say, oh, it's still there. I'm so happy. These folks actually lower the price for you. Some of you might like Dooney & Bourke cupcakes. See that one up there? That's cupcakes. Now, personally, I don't want a picture of cupcakes on my purse, but other people might. And then over here, one Dooney & Bourke I don't want you to miss, because Dooney & Bourke was also known for the two-tone when two-tone wasn't in. So some of these designers are really doing some cool stuff. When the two-tone wasn't in, you actually had Dooney & Bourke making two-tone for you. So again, a couple of abrasions, got to get those out, and then the black with the panels of the natural leather. But look inside. Inside is so fun because it's multicolored inside. 158 is what it says here. I'm squinting because it's hard for me to see without those glasses. 158 is the price. I would say this is a $225 bag. And there might be certain names that you really like. I am not a big fan of Michael Kors, but people like Michael Kors. I think this doesn't look as expensive as some of the other designers, but he's a popular name, and this piece is in very good shape. So a lot of people might like it. I like to be able to open the bag, get in there, and get out. This one has too many pockets for me. I have to think too much, so I'm not crazy about this. This is $189, probably retails closer to $400. And it's a designer that is just not my taste, but a lot of people do like Michael Kors. But it goes for about $400 in this condition. A lot of people, tall case clocks, also known as grandfather clocks, not always their style. But if you have a classical home and you want to get a bargain, this type of clock can be your bargain. This is called the pendulum door. It's the door that protects the pendulum, which is moving back and forth. The weights are here. A nice piece here. The most important part of this, of course, is not the pendulum or the weights, but it's actually the moon phase. So as the hours go by, that particular dial moves as well to show you the phases of the moon, night and day, basically. It's got a great price, $798, and as time goes on, the price gets lower. So that's how this consignment shop works. Value on this piece, $1,000. People ask me, why do I wear the gloves? Oh, she's a germaphobe. She doesn't want to touch anything that was anybody else's. That's not true. I wear the gloves because of my museum experience and my experience as an appraiser evaluating as many as 20,000 objects a year for many, many years, almost 25 years. The gloves are to protect the objects from the oils on my hands, because the oils on my hands can be transferred to objects, attract dirt, and deteriorate those objects. And if they're deteriorated, they're devalued. That's why I wear the gloves. I want to show you something that I don't want you to forget, and it's about heat on oil paintings. I want you to look up at this painting by an artist named McLean. It is a nice painting for composition. It's a nice painting for color. I want you to look up at the sky in the upper left-hand corner, and do you see the little crackles? You see those little crackles? You can almost see it through the whole painting in certain areas, and that is called craquelure, and that particular type of craquelure is relatively rare. That means that piece has probably been wrapped up in something like bubble wrap and stored in a very hot attic. That has been near hot heat for a long time. That piece probably dates to the early part of the 1900s, like 1900, 1925, and it's oil on canvas, but that damage up there is never gonna get fixed. So even at 186, that I think you should leave here. I always tell you that art is a very good return on investment. Here's a good example. $250, and these are abstract portrait heads. Now, if you look at them, you're saying, oh yeah, it looks like a head. Anytime you see an abstraction, if you can make an understanding of what this is trying to convey, that's usually a pretty good abstraction, okay? So you know that this is a portrait head. You understand that this is really someone's head, only we're using different colors, different applications here to make that image of the head. And there's two. So you sort of have the male and the female, which is typically what you see in portrait pairs. The nice, very sleek, modernist frame is also terrific. These are $750 a piece. So as for a bargain, they're beautiful. They'd be about $1,500 if you bought the pair. You can get them for $500 for both of them. So that's really good. They're $250 each. Speaking of artwork that is, in fact, going to have a good return on investment, how about this? Yes, I know everyone loves Tuscany. I love Tuscany too. So Florence, my favorite city in the world. I've been to a lot of them. That particular piece is a very nice piece. It's a hand oil on canvas, it's signed, and it also has a runner, that's those interior frames, and then a mat, which is the big white frame, and then the large composition and gilt wood frame. Now, all of those come into effect, and because they're so big and prominent, they really jump up the value. At $120 for the original work of art, and the runner frame, that's the gold one in the center, and the mat, and the larger frame, you're looking at about $450. So you're gonna get that for $120. If you like that scene, and I gotta tell you, there's not a lot of people who don't like that scene. Very easy on the resale market, or if you wanted to keep it for yourself. Then I saw this. When you see the Gettysburg battlefield, most people are gonna go, oh, look, it's the Gettysburg battlefield. And it shows, you know, where the different factions were at Gettysburg. But the first thing you should be doing, and if you have not done this already, you need to do that. Get the loop. This is a money magnet. This is the loop that I recommend, and I want you to look. I want you to get close and be careful what's around you, because I'm like a bull in the china shop, and get in there and see if you see a consistent little dot pattern like a dot matrix, and see whether you have a mechanical print or a non-mechanical print. This is a mechanical print. Okay, so now value is going to be lower. But I don't want you to walk away from this for two reasons. First of all, very historic, very important. A lot of people want this image on their wall. Secondly, the frame. The frame is increasing value a lot, from the $78 that they're asking for it to about $250. So you do have a mechanical print, yes, the loop will show you that, but this particular, which means a mechanical print means that a lot of them have been produced, okay? But the frame, in fact, and the way it's been framed, perfect for an office, easy to resell. I told you we'd find bargains. There's more to come.